Good morning, everyone. We coming here, Asia Sky Media. Today we have Vincent Tsai running for the Senate District 22 in California State, and he's here with us today. Thank you for coming, Vincent.
Thanks for having me. It's great being here. And
You're
meeting
very
you guys.
welcome. So, why don't you tell us why you're running and how it gets started?
This is never anything that I planned, but last year when the COVID mandates were starting to get more and more ridiculous, and we feel like more and more freedoms were being taken away, I decided to make a stand. And in my own small way, I decided to motivate people to not comply with bad mandates by refusing to wear my mask
Okay.
at work.
Okay. Okay. We know that you're a sheriff.
Yes.
How did you begin in working as a sheriff?
Well, ever since I was small, I've always had this desire to do something where I serve and protect people. But being from an traditional Asian family, I was always told that I have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or some kind of businessman. But I never felt like that was me. And so in my 20s, I wanted to join the military because I felt like that was the best way I could serve. And of course, my parents were very against it. And I let them talk me out of it. It was my fault because being a good Asian son, I thought, okay, I have to listen to my parents. I'll go with their wishes and go to school for physical therapy. So I started going in that direction. But I wasn't happy. I know that I was meant for something else. So that's why I decided to become a sheriff. I decided, okay, my time to join the military is up because I was in my late 20s. And what I wanted to do in the military was more special operations type stuff. And I was getting a little bit too old for that. So I decided, okay, how else can I serve people and protect people? So that's what led me to applying to law enforcement because I could protect and serve people in my community. And there's also, I think, a lack of representation of Asian Americans in law enforcement and in the military. It's not something that we're raised to want to do. But I think since we're all living here as Asian Americans, as people from Hong Kong or Taiwan or Korea or China, I'm a Taiwanese American. So I want to serve my community. So I decided to be a cop so that I can do that.
Wow, your story is very inspiring, very revolutionary, yet kind of difficult too for Asian communities. And so, why don't you tell us more about your background?
Sure. So I worked in the health and fitness industry for a while. First in physical therapy clinics, and then eventually I was a personal trainer at some gyms because that's what I enjoy doing. That's another passion of mine is health and fitness. So I was doing that for a while, and for all the way until my late 20s, I got into law enforcement pretty late. A lot of my partners know this is what they want to do when they're kids, and then once they turn 18, they become cops. But that's not my path. I got into sheriff's department at 31 years old, which I think in the long run is a good thing because it allowed me to have a lot of life experience. It allowed me to be more mature in my decision making. And so I think that's helped me out so far in my law enforcement career. It's allowed me to make better decisions because I've had so much life experience prior to joining law enforcement.
And then, your district is 22.
Yes.
And what does this cover?
It covers a pretty big area. So from El Monte, South El Monte, moving over to West Covina, Baldwin Park, Azusa, all the way over to San Dimas, Laverne, Pomona, and even down in parts of San Bernardino County, Chino and Ontario. I'm missing a few of the smaller cities, but those are the main ones. Also Irwindale and Bradbury, Citrus. So pretty much that whole area.
That's an enormous
It is.
area.
It's a
Wow.
huge area.
Who's the incumbent right now?
The incumbent right now is Susan Rubio, who's a Democrat. She's been in that position since 2018.
Oh, that's quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then besides Susan Rubio, do we have other candidates running for the District 22?
Yes. So on the ticket for Senate District 22 is the incumbent, myself, and another Republican named Kimo Mateo from Chino.
And he is also a Republican.
Yes, he's also a Republican, and our platforms are very similar, which is kind of a shame because we both have very similar ideas about what needs to change. And we didn't know that we're running when we decided to throw our hats in the race. But our dream, the best case scenario, is for Kimo and myself to beat Susan Rubio and face off in general elections because that's a win-win in my opinion.
Yes.
You have two Republicans who are America first, pro-democracy, pro-Second Amendment, and whoever wins in general, I mean, our district constituents can't lose because there's two good choices there.
And that will give the Democrats and the public a strong message of what the people want, especially in the large
district that we have.
That's right.
Yeah, it'll send them a message that people have had enough. We're tired of having our freedom stripped away. We're tired of having bad legislation affect us and our livelihood, and people want to change. And I think that'll be a very direct message to the Democratic Party that people have had enough.
And and the reason that caused you to go into the politics is because of the last years and the pandemic and the government clamping down on us on all these mask mandates and vaccine mandates
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we go deeper in this, and how does that affect the public?
Sure. Yeah.
Because many are kind of desensitized throughout, yeah, with the media and all the scare messages out
Yeah.
there.
That's a huge part of why I decided to run. Because when I made a stand at work and said, hey, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not complying with the vaccine mandate, I'm not going to sign up with Fulgent, who's the company that's tied to China. And I was hoping that would inspire people to act. And it did inspire a couple of people, but it wasn't making a big enough impact. So I decided to be a part of a lawsuit that was filed against LA County
Wow.
for the vaccine mandate and mask mandates. And that lawsuit was filed October 1st. About 3 weeks later, I get suspended. So I think, okay, now I have more time to see how I can contribute more. And waiting for lawsuits to go through the court system, it's a process. All the way till now, nothing's really happened with the lawsuit because, like a lot of the cases are being seen, they're being ruled on by very biased liberal judges. So rallies are great and lawsuits are good too, but I feel like there's more that we need to do. There's a way to be more proactive, and that was to run for office, because these elected officials are the ones that got us into this position in the first place. So instead of constantly waiting for them to push out bad bills and then fighting it in court and holding rallies, why not be proactive and replace these elected officials so that these bad bills can't be pushed out in the first place?
How many people on this lawsuit on your side?
There's a couple thousand. So there's
Wow, it's not a small one.
yeah, it's a big lawsuit. All the plaintiffs are employees of LA County, and there's 5 publicly named plaintiffs that are on the lawsuit, which includes myself, another partner of mine on the sheriff's department, somebody from the probation department, sanitation department, and I think Department of Health as well. So this lawsuit represents not just the sheriff's department; it represents county employees that are fed up and against the vaccine mandate and the mask mandates.
That lawsuit is against the LA County.
LA County.
I see. And then so many people this is very what you do is very daring to the public, especially the Asian community. We never thought of doing stuff like that. It's yet very inspiring too. We will see how this roll. And so what do you think that how does the mandate and vaccine the vaccine and the mask mandate affect us? A lot of people think with the pandemic, with the coronavirus out there, it is okay and all right for the government to do such thing. They don't see the harm of it. And what are you seeing, and what could the government do down the road to? That's why we have this lawsuit.
When I first started this, I would argue with people over viewpoints of masks and vaccines. Since I've been suspended, I've had a lot of time to do research, read study after study, listen to lecture from doctors and scientists that are much smarter than myself. And so I have my opinion about vaccines and masks. But at this point, I realize everybody has already made up their mind about these things. So arguing about these topics is kind of a waste of time. I still have my same beliefs about vaccines and masks. I think that they're both ineffective, they're both unsafe to our health. But my focus right now is on letting people know that in America, we have a freedom to choose. So whatever your viewpoint is on vaccines and masks, everybody should be able to make an informed decision for themselves and their children. The government has no say in how we take care of our children and what kind of medical interventions we give our children. The government has no say over our bodily autonomy. That's a basic human right that we all have. And so what I want to do is, when I get into office, I want to block legislation that takes away our freedom to make medical decisions for ourselves. Because I believe that the government doesn't have a place in making medical decisions for us.
And that will give them more centralized power in the future, and it will open doors to a lot of the dangerous things possibly.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people still don't understand. If you think vaccines are good for you, that's fine. But if you allow the government to mandate vaccines for you, what's next? How many boosters are you willing to get? Are you willing to get 10 boosters a month just because the government tells you to? The thing about power is that people that abuse power, they never know when to let go. So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. They're going to start taking away more freedoms. They're going to start mandating more things. And it's never going to end until we say we've had enough.
Right, and they can impose the number of vaccines. They can limit the whereabouts of the people. They can tell you where not to go.
Yeah.
And on and on and on.
You look at what's happening in China. You allow a little bit of your freedom to be taken away. Eventually, the government's going to take full control of your life, and then you have no say over what you do. And that can't happen. We live in America. We enjoy these freedoms that our forefathers gave to us, and we have to protect these freedoms.
So we have the incumbent Susan Rubio right now, and what can you provide to our voters that Susan Rubio cannot do for us?
Well, in your 4 years, she actually hasn't done much of anything significant. And what I want to do is, I've always been a man of action. I'm taking action right away. One of the things that she likes to talk about is public safety. But I looked up her voting record, and all she's really done is support bills that will lower speed limits.
Oh,
Yeah, that might save a couple lives, but I've read a lot of studies that show that the speed limit has very little to do with accident fatalities. But that's not going to bring widespread safety to our communities. Right now, what we have an issue with is a record rise in crime, homicides, violent crimes, burglaries, and you see all these videos of follow home robberies. Lowering a speed limit is not going to help to stop any of those things. And as a law enforcement officer, I think I have a unique viewpoint on this, and I have the training and experience to know how to deal with crime. So when I get into office, I'll actually provide solutions that will slow down the crime rates in our district and in the state. So the number one thing is refunding the police. We need to give more funding back to the police so that we can hire more officers and deputy sheriffs, because being proactive means having officers in the communities being seen, so that'll deter criminals from committing crimes. Number two, it also allows us to refund and bring back specialized units like the special victims unit that helps to solve cases that involve child sex crimes. On top of that, right now, officers and deputies are being slammed with overtime because we have a huge deficiency in the amount of personnel that we have. So the officers and deputies right now are having to cover those spots and working way more overtime than they should be, and they're tired and burnt out. So we need more officers and deputies in the streets so that we can give these veteran officers rest and have more cops on the streets, so that'll stop criminals from committing crimes.
great, wonderful. And the election is coming up in June 7th. This Tuesday, you're on, not this Tuesday, June 7th, Tuesday, and your name is on the ballot.
Yes, it is.
And vote for Vincent Tsai. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Can I bring up one more thing?
Yes, of course.
One of the reasons why I decided to run as well is I think that as Asian Americans, we need to start stepping up. So the reason why I became a cop was because we need more Asian cops, Asian American cops. We also need more Asian Americans in politics, because we've always been raised to kind of just hide and be quiet and just go along with everything. But if we want to be part of society, we have to contribute, and we have to start stepping up and being leaders in our communities. And so that's another reason why I'm running as well. I'm trying to show other Asian Americans that, hey, we don't have to just be doctors or lawyers and hide in the background and just comply with everything. We have a voice too. We can come out and we can be leaders and speak out for everybody as well.
And take control of our life.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I just wanted to add, the graphic back here, it's mostly right, but it's missing Baldwin Park. So if you're in Baldwin Park, you're in my district, you can vote for me and support me. Montclair and South Monrovia, since redistricting, they're no longer part of my district. But hey, if you agree with my message, you can still support my campaign by donating at my website. You can volunteer to walk neighborhoods that are in my district to pass out my flyers. There's different ways you can support my campaign. And you're not supporting me, you're supporting my campaign and our vision and our fight.
Definitely.
You can visit me at www.tsai4senate.com, and you could check out my Instagram at Tsai4Senate22 as well.
And you have a website for us to refer more of your campaign and messages.
Yeah, Tsai4Senate.com. You can find out more about me, my platforms, and also request to volunteer and donate to my campaign as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Vincent.